Hello, we are Amelia and Tanya from Coffee Catchup's podcast. This is Coffee Catchup's Espresso on Cross Rhythms Radio. And today we are talking about people pleasing.
Uh-oh.
Oh dear.
I don't want to talk about that.
Can we just move on to a different topic, please?
But slightly more comfortable.
Yes. Why is it so uncomfortable, Tanya?
Because, as you full well know, Amelia, we both struggle with this. I put my hands up. Confession. I struggle with people pleasing.
Yeah, me too.
I much prefer it when everyone likes me.
Mm-hmm.
Is that so wrong?
Obviously, yes.
I just want everyone to love me, and that's all good.
That'd be great.
Happy. There's no problems with that at all.
No,
Don't even know what we're talking about.
End of episode. Goodbye.
Yeah, no, people pleasing is putting other people's needs ahead of yours. It is basically self-explanatory. It's trying to please people. And there are levels of which this can go to. And
yes.
The risk with it is that it can go to a level where you please other people to your own detriment. Where pleasing other people and having people like you is more important than anything.
Absolutely.
And that's where there is a problem with it. And I think for myself, there's many reasons why. And I definitely find myself often in situations changing my behavior so that other people are more comfortable.
Yes, absolutely.
And sometimes that does mean changing my behavior to the point where I am doing things I don't want to do. And perhaps saying yes when I should say no. Becoming overwhelmed.
Yeah,
Did you experience that yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the whole, we were talking about this the other day, weren't we? When you get off the bus or a train or something, and you are apologising to people for having to get off the bus.
That's such a British thing.
Sorry. Can I just?
Yeah.
And it's like, actually, no, I need to get off at this stop. You are in my way, not in a rude way, but like, I would like you to move, please. I think it's actually important to clarify here as well that people pleasing is different from kindness.
Yeah,
because actually kindness is a good thing. We like being kind. We like being kind to other people and offering to help them, to serve them. But people pleasing is different to that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like Tanya was saying, kind of doing that to your own detriment sometimes, and actually unnecessarily as well. So, like, for example, I've had so many experiences with this, but one that comes to mind was when I was a teenager. I used to help out at this kids club at church, and I would walk home. It would be about 20 minutes. It would be in the dark, but it's not a dangerous area, so it's like, it's not too bad. And one of my fellow leaders from this group offered me a lift home, and he was like, "Oh, it's fine. Like, it won't take long." And I was like, "Oh, no, that's okay." Even though I'd be walking home in the dark by myself at the age of like 14 or whatever it was. And he'd offered a lift. And I was like, "Oh, no," because I was like, "Oh, I didn't want to put you out." And actually, he'd offered. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's that so much of the time.
It's just trying to get people to think well of you. It's sometimes maybe going out of your way to do something that you actually can't fit into your schedule. Like, I tie myself in knots sometimes trying to meet up with too many people in one day because that's the only day they can do, or even on that, bending my schedule around other people when I haven't even asked if they could do a different day.
Yeah, so
God, I'm making myself in a very difficult position just so that to please you. And I catch myself doing it without even thinking about it. What we are going to do after the song is we're going to talk about perhaps why people please. That was a mouthful. What we are going to do after this song is we're going to talk about why people please and what are the causes of it.
Absolutely. We'll be right back after the song. So, Tanya, we're talking about people pleasing today.
We are.
What do we think are some of the root causes of people pleasing?
Yeah, I think that's quite a complex question. I don't think there's one definitive answer, but I'd say a lot of people would look at people pleasing and go, well, what are the conditions the person grew up in.
Very interesting.
A lot of it can root back to, why is it that you really want people to like you? Is it that you grew up as a child in a house with a lot of conflict, so you learnt to be the peacemaker?
Sure.
And you learnt to do that, you would adjust your behaviour. Did you grow up in a house with a lot of anger, a lot of passive aggressive anger, which I remember talking about with my therapist. Now I go to therapy. I think therapy is a fantastic tool for self-development. So no shame. We talk about it a lot on the pod, don't we?
Love it. Come on.
So when I was talking to my therapist, and I said, oh yeah, one of my parents was quite passive aggressive, and she stopped me right there and she went, by the way, passive aggression is really serious. We often don't think of it as serious, but it is.
No, we don't.
And so, when we look at the lens of people pleasing, if you grew up with a passive aggressive parent, they're not communicating why they're upset. So a child who is essentially a very emotive being is going, oh, well, what have I done? What is it that I've done? And they try to adjust their behaviour to tackle the unspoken anger. And there are many, many more reasons as to why people please. It may also be a wanting to avoid conflict. I know it certainly has been that for me.
Sure.
Wanting to avoid conflict because conflict is uncomfortable. And perhaps you never learned how to do conflict well.
Yeah, so true. I think that's a really challenging one, isn't it? I think also insecurity is a big one. When you are so concerned with other people's opinions of you and what other people are going to be thinking, and oh well, if I say no to doing this, well, maybe they won't like me, or maybe they'll walk away, or maybe they'll act fine, and then they'll go talk to someone else and go, oh, isn't Amelia really annoying? She didn't do what I asked her to do. It's a really simple task. Or if what's going to happen essentially if I don't do this thing, or if I don't say this thing.
And I think if you have trauma around that, so like childhood bullying is a big one. Were you bullied, so you changed yourself to be more likable, to fit in? It's a survival mechanism a lot of the time. It's going, well, I people please to survive, so that people like me, so that I avoid danger. And that's a very kind of a natural human thing to want to avoid danger. We evolved to try and get out of the sort of danger spheres. So it's kind of avoiding conflict, making people like you. I also wonder if there's a control element to it. And what I mean is that if I make everyone like me, I'm controlling what they think of me. I am in control. I know that if I bend and move myself to however, that I am controlling how they think. They're not allowed to think badly of me because I am pleasing them, and therefore I am in control and I have agency over their opinion. And do you have some control issues if you're trying to make everybody like you all the time?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a really good question. That's a really good question. And also, interestingly, I think in a sort of weird inverted way, pride comes into this quite a lot.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's, you are assuming firstly that people are thinking about you all the time.
That's a really good point. So narcissistic.
And we're not bashing people pleasers. We're not saying you're all like really arrogant or anything like that. But like it does, in a weird way, pride does really come into it, doesn't it? Because you're thinking that other person is concerned with you and what you're doing. You are, again, you're thinking about other people's opinion of you a lot.
Are you also being a martyr? I wonder.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think sometimes there's danger. We grew up in Christian households. Put other people first. Put them before you. And absolutely, totally biblical. But there's a danger of you get a pride with it. Like, oh, look at me. Yes. I'm putting other people before me at my own detriment. Aren't I a martyr?
Absolutely. And again, what we're not doing is bashing people pleasers.
No, because we do it.
No, we do it. We absolutely do it. And also, I think a lot of this is very subconscious. But I think when you really think about it, those things do come into it, like pride. And yeah, it's a very challenging one. But as always, we are not all doom and gloom. So right after this song, we're going to be chatting about how we can work at stopping people pleasing, and turning these situations a bit more positive.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be right back.
Okay, so Tanya, we've been talking about people pleasing.
Yeah, we have, and I'm uncomfortable, but it's okay.
Because as we've said in the previous 2 sections, we are both very much people pleasers. But as we said, it's not all doom and gloom.
Yeah.
And we can work through these issues. So how do we go about moving from people pleasing into kindness and also establishing some boundaries?
Yeah, okay. I think it's about potentially starting small. I'm speaking from experience. When I look at it, at my tendency to people please, I go, it's so big.
Yeah.
And it's also, I think it's connected. We talk about this in the longer podcast, but it's connected with what your gifts are. Like I would say, if you're gifted with empathy, your strength is you understand people and you understand what they need, and you can be empathetic and you understand them, and that's fantastic. But it also comes with a weakness of, I know what they need, so I can be that. So first of all, that I'd say the first step is acknowledging that you struggle with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And learning to notice in yourself when you people please when you didn't want to. When did I say yes when I should have said no? Sometimes noticing it can be the first step. And then I'm giving advice that my therapist gave to me of starting small and building up to putting these things in place. And she gave me this homework once, and it was very small, but it was to get comfortable with being inconvenient for other people.
Yes.
To allow your body to experience that, because you've spent such a long time not experiencing it. So she gave me a really small task, and she said, go next time you're at the checkout, for whatever reason, go to a person, don't go to the self-checkout. And intentionally not have your bank card or your Apple Pay straight to hand. Have it in your bag so that you have to look for it. And where normally you would go, oh, sorry, I'm so sorry. Let me just get my, it's here somewhere. I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. Don't say sorry because you haven't done anything detrimentally wrong. Take your time finding your card. Be polite and go, oh, I've just got to look for my bank card. Bear with me. And just see how your body's feeling when you're causing that person inconvenience. Now, that is a really small example. And there may be many people listening going, yeah, I could do that in my sleep. I don't care. Find out what it is for you. That's a small starting point where you can get your body and your psyche used to being inconvenient for people.
Absolutely. That's really great advice. I love that. I think also taking a minute when somebody asks you something like, oh, hey, Tanya, could you just, can you lead the next episode for me? That'd be great. Yeah. Because I don't want to do it. And actually, like, you know, taking a minute and going, have I got capacity to do this thing? Is that the right thing for me to do? Do I need to do this thing? Actually, like, no, I don't. Lead it yourself. Like, do you know what I mean? And that's a silly example, but that kind of thing, actually just taking a second to pause, think through it in your head and go, actually, no, that's okay. And it's okay if I don't. And also, just making sure those boundaries are established, like actually protecting, if you're an introvert like me, you need your space, you need your alone time. And if somebody's asked you to, I don't know, come and help them with an event, actually, and that's, say, maybe your one free space during that week, and actually that's really precious time, it's okay to say no in that. And actually the event will still go on without you. They can probably find somebody else to do it, and your space as an introvert is important. And I think just, as an example, that's a really important one. So just take a minute, take the subjectivity out of it, just look at it really logically, and hopefully that will be really helpful.
And one more thing, I know we're running out of time, but I would also say is really trying to remember your value and your worth.
Absolutely.
Now, if your people pleasing also comes from a lack of thinking that you matter too, you have to first evaluate why am I people pleasing? But for me, often it's going, of course that person's more important than me. Is a lack of self-worth.
Yeah.
So one of the things I made my housemate do actually is every morning get up and say affirmations, because words have power.
Yes.
And say things like, I do matter, or I am beautiful, or I have worth, I am clever, whatever it is that you struggle with that makes you think that you don't matter compared to other people, just is cheesy. And you're going to feel like an idiot, but no one's watching, so no one will know.
Yeah.
So just talk in the mirror and tell yourself the words of affirmation that you need to hear, so you know that you matter too, and that your boundaries matter as well.
Yes.
Because
absolutely.
you do matter too.
Absolutely. So important. Thank you everyone for listening. This has been Coffee Catchups Espresso. We have done a longer podcast, haven't we, on people pleasing?
Yeah, we only just touched the surface in this pod.
There's so much more to chat about, isn't there, really? So yeah, if you'd like to listen to that, search Coffee Catchups podcast on all of your usual streaming platforms, and you will find the episode on people pleasing there. Bye for now.